As part of my writings on inner alchemy, I often discuss the idea of energetic work, specifically the absorbing, saving, storing, and refining of energy. I mention in those books that for an inner alchemist, the best possible thing is to save as much energy as they can, which means the continual use of a technique that I refer to as energetic containment. Such energetic containment means that an alchemist needs to control how much energy they lose during an average day, and this kind of economy does require a great deal of emotional control. Such an operative perspective would at first seem to indicate that such a practitioner would lead a rather cold, controlled, and therefore potentially unsatisfactory life. But in actuality that is completely not the case, and I feel that explaining why this is so is very important for two basic reasons. First, I think it is important that I discuss this erroneous assumption, in order to help in understanding, for all those that are striving to become practitioners and eventual masters of these inner alchemy techniques. In this way, they may know from the very start that they are not turning themselves into some kind of unfeeling machine, but that such energetic work, and in particular, energetic containment, which could be also called emotional containment, leads to a kind of breathtaking joy that is beyond description, a joyous wonderment that interestingly is of such magnitude that it borders on fearfulness, or a breathless-like feeling when it is first experienced, but that eventually leaves no doubt in the alchemist's mind that this is true and utter love, that this is real love, the real thing untainted. Secondly, I wish to discuss certain current ideas and beliefs about basic human nature, and also the true nature of joy and true love itself. The definition of love can be quite broad, so that one could say that there is romantic love, or brotherly love for example. But what I wish to discuss in this video is what is referred to as the greatest form of love, the love for all that is. I am speaking about agape, which is an ancient Greek word for true love, the highest love possible, the love for all things, without discrimination, complete and unending love and joy. Now, for people on this earth, it has been the custom for the longest time, as is our nature as human beings, to treat everything as a kind of commodity, and this includes love. We tend to say and believe that love is something that there is a certain amount of at any given time, and in that sense, love is often seen as a product at times, something that is produced and controlled by those that are wealthy in love, or a kind of scarce mineral that should be hoarded and given away in barter. Some, for example, may say that there is not much love here, or that there is a great deal of love over there. And while one could assume that this is just a way to express how we may perceive the general emotional state of certain groups of people and places, I would argue that many people tend to view love as a sometimes producible thing, a quantifiable thing, and therefore a thing that can be not just better understood, but also manipulated. Some might equate love as being like a pure white light as a result of this need to quantify and understand, and as such they may think that love is something that can be projected or created, and by that token, that it can be lacking in certain places, that in certain places it can be dark and devoid of this light, while other places, the right places, can have great amounts of light, or even that only certain types of people can make this light or work with it. So that in the end, it can even end up sounding like they are talking about property and industry. Indeed, such beliefs can have some often well-intentioned people equating love with certain modern theories and beliefs. In this case, those that believe in current scientific theory may try to equate love with entropy, which is a property of thermodynamics used to show how energy has an absolute tendency to degrade within a closed system. Love then can be equated as an energy, which is quite accurate, but that is also wrong if current ideas such as entropy are introduced, because this kind of absolute energy is not and could never be part of a closed system, because this known universe, contrary to popular belief, is not a closed system, and love, agape, permeates all possible realities and dimensions. Love then, using modern understanding, can sometimes be perceived as something quantifiable in a closed system, and therefore love is perceived as being a thing that is degrading over time, getting weaker as it were, slowly fading away, sort of like a candle burning down, which can cause some rather grim views about the nature of life and love on occasion. Moreover, such beliefs about the nature of love can make some believe that they must take it upon themselves to spread love, to make love, to project it upon others as much and as often as possible. Now, I am not saying that people shouldn't project energy to help and to bring vitality to others. Such projection of positive vitality is a wonderful gift to those that may need some extra strength and support. Nor am I saying that certain good people cannot create and project health, joy, and vitality from their hearts. But agape, true love, is already brimming all around us. It does not need to be moved or projected, it is already bountiful everywhere. Love is bountiful. What I am saying is that love, true love, is not a commodity, that it is actually all around us now, that it can never end and that it is so plentiful that it cannot be quantified. I am saying that in the most important way possible, we all now exist in a graceful place, that this is a world full of grace, full of love, full of a permeating infinity that is all that is, and that it is good. Love is the underlying nature of all things, it is like the underlying musical note, or vibration, that permeates our entire existence. Without this understanding about the nature of natural grace and love, you might think that an inner alchemist, being that they tend to be people deeply interested in containing energy, and therefore containing emotion, must be dry, cold, joyless, unfeeling machines. An inner alchemist though is the opposite of an unfeeling machine, because they can feel everything. They are individuals that have taught themselves to once again feel all, to feel infinity itself. They are often extremely joyous people, people that once they have mastered the ability to contain energy and have discovered their true individuality, can spend longer and longer periods in a true state of grace, a continual state of pure joy and love. Why is this, you may ask? How is this possible, being that while they may not be projecting love, or trying to deliberately wake up their heart center in some way, they can still feel such love? The reason is that in order to feel love, you must stop projecting, seeking, and quantifying, and instead you must start to contain the many emotions that assail your being, even some of those emotions that are sometimes referred to as love, but that are in actuality emotional dependency and self-pity, masquerading as love. A person therefore does not need to seek true love, they must just get quiet enough to finally let it touch them. This is so because that sense of underlying joy and grace, that utter love and total ease and freedom, for yourself and all others, all people, all things, is the true fundamental nature of humanity. Let me repeat that. The true nature of humanity is joy, unending grace, and a love for all things, for everyone and everything. The problem though, in accordance with alchemical thought, is that a kind of dark blanket has been placed over this natural grace, a kind of cloud that engages humanity, infests it, with a kind of unending need, or other nature, that demands that people think of everything, including love, as a commodity, as a scarcity, a this or that, a black and white thing, that must be hoarded, hunted, awarded, blessed with, and even created by an elite few. This cloud, while very negative in some ways, being that it drains humanity of energy as we all spend seemingly every second of our days raving and emoting about one thing or another, and being that it separates humanity from true love and grace, is actually a blessing from the inner alchemist point of view. This is too complex a topic to get into in this video devoted to true love, but I can tell you that part of that discussion involves the teaching of techniques such as energetic containment, which can then turn this cloud, this imposition, into a great asset. And part of those containment techniques is the ability to contain as much emotion as possible, which brings us back to this idea that alchemists must be these cold fish that feel little, which is based on the human notion that love is a quantity, a commodity, a scarce item that is doled out only to the good few, and that it can even be a kind of weapon that can be used by some to figuratively kill their enemies with kindness. But what you discover as you begin to contain more and more of the many emotions that assail you every day, is that in this energetic quietude, this silence, for however long it can be maintained, is full of love. It is like a graceful hum, like the loveliest note or vibration imaginable, that seems to permeate everything, all things, and that it is itself all things. This bliss is just like the feeling that comes over a person when they are out in nature, in a quiet place, gazing upon some beautiful natural vista. It is a blessing, a radiance, a brilliance. But these are just words that we use to try to describe an utter joy that is beyond words, beyond quantity. It is this graceful joyousness, this true love, that permeates a quiet alchemist. Therefore alchemists aren't cold, hard dead things. They actually glow with joy and love, and this is not a created love, it is just the alchemist's ability to open themselves up to the infinity, to the heart-stopping wonderment, that is, all that is. This is unadulterated love for all things, and in that sense all things are equal to an alchemist, and to anyone that can open up to this infinity, that permeates all. To try to perceive this grace yourself, stop trying to actively seek, tune, or project using social ideas about what is and is not grace, joy, or love. Instead, if you want, try to allow this graceful love to reach you in the same way that an inner alchemist would. In other words, don't try to see the good, and ignore the bad, or try to make some white light curve on itself, so that it descends upon you through force and manipulation. Instead, see all, as you stop feeling this way or that. Try to become more by relaxing as much as you can, and then just let the world hit you, smack against you without resistance or effort, and imagine as you do so that you have a dial, and as you turn this dial down, all emotions fade down. And as you look upon a person or a situation, you perhaps for the first time really begin to see them without any assumption or judgment, either good or bad. And what you will see if you are successful, is that all things are equal, nothing is better than anything else, and that in that infinity of moment, where all people and all things are the same, they are also all blessed and good, in a way that is not like the way that you were taught to see good or bad, but a way that is beyond all words and judgment, and that in that, for lack of better words, goodness, there is love and the unending joy of existence and existing. And in that blessed moment, do remember to count yourself among that utter beauty of this world. You are blessed now, even if you can't see it at the moment, you are part of all that is, you are overflowing love. It is my deepest wish that this love becomes the one overwhelming note of your life. If you would like to know about energetic containment, and the way of the inner alchemist, then I recommend the books, Overcoming the Archon Through Alchemy, and the Magnum Opus, the Step-by-Step Guide. I will leave links to these books in the description below.